You are listening to Mind Shock. This is your host, Bruce McGuire. Today we are dissecting, logically, of course, hating celebrities and the overlap into political statements of sort and what all of that entails, because there are a lot of people so-called boycotting celebrities or all of a sudden hating celebrities they once liked, whether it's actors or musicians or whatever. I just wanted to point out one very, very critical point when it comes to doing so or flip-flopping support, etc. And again, this is not to shed any kind of positive light on the cesspool of leeches that is Hollywood. I've discussed that in other podcasts. That has nothing to do with that. We're just looking at individuals here. As always, if you find the podcast interesting and informative, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell for notifications. If you're still not getting updates, like and comment on more vids. And if that still doesn't work, you just go to youtube.com/mindshock. You'd also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Like and share, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttal, debunks of any kind, leave them in the comments section. Okay, so celebrity ABC tweets something inflammatory to one side of the false dichotomy that is the political aisle, fooling goofs for centuries now. Fooling those that think that other humans, that the criminal class known as politicians somehow has authority over them, and that engaging in some kind of mob rule, which isn't even real mob rule, because obviously the Electoral College doesn't even make a genuine mob rule. Not that mob rule is good in any way. And, all these goofs clamoring for so-called democracy or threats to democracy, threats to mob rule, as if mob rule is moral or just in any way. Just neighbors voting to rob other neighbors and use those looted funds for what they see fit until the popular vote swings the other way, and then the other group of neighbors so-called votes on what they decide the loot should be spent on. So obviously statism, one of the silliest cults in history. But that aside, your favorite celebrity tweets something inflammatory, all of a sudden, I never liked them. You see this all the time on social media. So why I think it's kind of illogical and foolish to do so. First of all, especially with younger celebrities. With older celebrities, I'm not going to be making this claim, although it's kind of hard to tell whether it's true or untrue. But with younger celebrities, I guess 30s and under, possibly 40s, depending on the maturity level of the celebrity, they're handlers. Well, first of all, they're probably not even tweeting themselves. And if they are and making these videos, this is what their handlers told them to do. That doesn't mean that's even their belief. So a few different possibilities here. One, it's a topic they not only know nothing about, they might not even have a position at all. And their handlers simply instructed them, due to that Soros money or wherever it's coming from, that they have to make a particular statement on a particular issue and encourage something. I mean, Taylor Swift is getting a lot of hate recently, encouraging people to vote and, engage in this mob rule, promote mob rule and promote all this evil and statism, etc., regardless of who you're voting for. And yeah, it's interesting because clearly, I mean, have people not seen any of her interviews? I mean, she might be in her 30s, but mentally, what is she, like 13, 14, 15 mentally? Like, are people actually like going to take anything she says seriously about anything? Now, again, if you like her auto-tune music or whatever, that's your prerogative. And if you want to argue that she wrote most of her own music, maybe she did. And maybe she's very creative in those endeavors. Now, obviously, artistry and cold hard logic and philosophy and scientific deductions have nothing to do with each other. I mean, creative pursuits are creative pursuits, and some of the most creative geniuses might have been the most illogical, dumb people in matters of worldly affairs. They might not even be able to recite the scientific method. Does anybody think Taylor Swift actually knows what the scientific method is? And if she did memorize it, and if she is able to regurgitate on command like a circus animal, can she actually apply it? That would be the question there. So if all of that is a no, why would anybody take the political opinion or insistence or anything from Taylor Swift serious on any level? I mean, it's like a small child. They make some, they can make some pretty drawings like a 5-year-old, even if it's your own 5-year-old. They're making pretty drawings. Like, let's say they're actually talented at it. We're not talking about patronizing a 5-year-old. Maybe there's some chicken scratch, but some of them, they're actually pretty good. There are young kids that are just really good at painting or piano or whatever. Are you going to take their political opinion on anything seriously? I mean, this is the level of goofery we've descended to in the post-COVID era. Like, it's really a sight to behold. And you know what's really wild? When the movie Idiocracy first came out, there were people saying, oh no, this is real life. This is a documentary. And then other people were saying, no, this is really the way it's going to be in the future quite soon. And pre-COVID, people were saying Idiocracy's already here. Well, ladies and gents, whoever said that, they ain't seen nothing yet, because we are truly living in some of the most clown world times ever imagined. I mean, people like to chastise some of these ancient civilizations for their alleged rituals or practices, which may or may not be true, of course. Check out the Altered History series on Mindshock. But we've descended in such a clown reality devoid of all logic and reason that the opinions of these so-called celebrities with the mental maturity and logical comprehension levels of early teens or even preteens, people are actually taking that serious. Like, how can you hate on a 5-year-old for voicing some kind of political opinion or, whatever, clamoring for some kind of action, political or otherwise? I mean, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy their paintings or their music, especially if they're pretty good at it. But a lot of the time, this is all subjective. So some people might find it interesting and like it, and some might not, regardless of the quality level. But we're not really discussing quality level right now. We're just discussing the silliness and the goofery in actually taking young celebrity opinions seriously on anything. I mean, this, like, even, was really crazy in the past few years. I'm not going to mention the exact medical advice all of these young celebrities were dispersing because their handlers told them to, and they were paid to do so, which, I mean, if they're actually prescribing a specific treatment without a license, I mean, that is a crime. So all of the celebrities that endorsed certain experimental treatments with obviously no short-term or long-term safeties. They weren't even short-term safety studies. So anyway, obviously we're not going to be discussing for what or what exactly it was here on Mindcheck. I do not claim anything is true or untrue, of course, but obviously practicing medicine without a medical license is illegal in the United States. So there's clearly a ton of celebrities that have gone unprosecuted for this for whatever reason. Well, we all know the reason. But it's just curious, why would anybody take the opinion of a mental midget who doesn't even know what the scientific method is, let alone how to apply it? Why would they take their opinion on anything, on any matters outside of the artistry of their craft? Seriously, it's very, very weird. I don't know why this needed to even be said, but I really don't hear anybody talking about it too much. I mean, the best quote is probably the one and only Anthony Hopkins. And the irony here is Hopkins might actually have some decent logical comprehension. He might actually be smart, but this is his quote. And of course, he's a bit on the older side, so clearly he's had some kind of life experience, unlike these, under 30 celebrities. Here's the quote. People ask me questions about present situations in life, and I say, I don't know. I'm just an actor. I don't have any opinions. Actors are pretty stupid. My opinion is not worth anything. There's no controversy for me, so don't engage me in it because I'm not going to participate. And this is clearly a guy who will not bend to the will of his handlers. And again, when you get to be that age, the influence that handlers have on you would be less and less. And again, there are certain people who are kind of outside the extreme popularity realm. I mean, Anthony Hopkins is viewed by many people as like a legitimate actor, not, a so-called celebrity that's popular. I mean, this guy's a master of his craft. So it's a little bit different, and he's got a lot of life experience. So the irony here, him calling himself stupid, I mean, he's smart. If he's smart enough to know that he's stupid, I mean, clearly he's smarter than just about anybody else, at least in Hollywood. So there's that. But just, a lot of curiosities here. And people just taking the opinions. The only thing that's kind of disappointing, I would say, is some of these old rockers, punk rockers, heavy metal rockers that basically sold out to the establishment. Rage Against the Machine, all of a sudden, turning into Mr. Smith. All of these in past eras, just, again, the establishment, the man. And yet, to see them sell out, especially after they're established, where they technically don't need to sell out, right? Unless, of course, you want to go down the Epstein rabbit holes where there's so much dirt on them. It's not so much about Soros payoffs. It's more about blackmail, so to speak, where they have to toe the propaganda line. I mean, who knows what some of these guys have been involved with throughout the decades, to the point where they're afraid to disobey their master. And to a certain extent, you could also say those opinions might not be genuine on their part either. I mean, it's kind of sad to see Mr. T, promoting certain potentially lethal medical treatments. Obviously, I'm not going to say which ones or what they are for, but this guy, he's not a doctor. Mr. T, like, who's going to take Mr. T's opinion about something seriously outside of pitying fools? I mean, he's a master at pitying fools, but, and there's a certain amount of irony there. Does he pity himself? I mean, he does look pretty sad. It almost looks like he's not genuine and he knows he's towing the propaganda line. Just looking at his face. Again, I'm not claiming to know anything is true or untrue for sure. That's just the way it appears. Other so-called celebrities seem to be a lot more genuine in their endorsement of experimental medical treatments with potentially lethal effects. Obviously, all practicing medicine without medical licenses. So I think a certain amount of slack could potentially be cut for some of these under 30 celebrities or 30s and under celebrities. They're not only do they not know what they're talking about with any of these issues, they're just being used as mouthpieces, useful idiots by their handlers. They actually might hold not only might they might hold the opposite opinion of what they're being forced to preach, or they might hold no opinion at all, and they're just doing the bidding of their handlers because that's what they've always done, and they want their career. They want that money train continuing to roll in, and they don't want to be on the side of controversy. So that's really all I wanted to address. So perhaps there's not a reason to just immediately jump and hate on celebrities just because they voiced a certain political opinion, because that opinion might not even be theirs. That's all for now. All the Mind Shock listeners, feel free to leave your thoughts, theories, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind in the comment section. If you enjoy the podcast, you could donate to our PayPal. Help us get more mind-shocking content out there discussing topics that nobody wants to discuss, or at least not in a logical fashion, to facilitate a better, more improved world that will not continue on its path of zombification that it is currently on. You could also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube for access to exclusive streams and chats. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like and share, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.